with a preview of tonight's game. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, John, what's going on? Yeah, a little different feeling with Oklahoma State on top and Texas at the bottom of the Big 12 South, but the Longhorns think they can maybe get that turned around, and that would start by tonight. But you know what? You might hear a kind of a buzzing noise. That's the injury bug. It's kind of been living in Austin recently. In fact, the Longhorns will start 3 freshmen on that offensive line. That'll be Peyton Kelly, Trey Hopkins, and Mason Walters. But Trey Newton is out. Shockey Brown is out. A lot of injuries for that Texas front. As for Oklahoma State, their offensive line is loaded. They've only allowed 9 sacks all year. Of course, Texas does have 25 sacks, so watch out for that matchup on the line. Texas definitely wants to get some sort of pressure if they can on Brandon Weeden. But Weeden has been top-notch all year long for the Cowboys. Almost 3,000 yards passing this season. And that Oklahoma State offense with 550 yards per game, 350 through the air. And then Justin Blackman, what can you say about this wide receiver? Even with the suspension, still leads the nation with 75 receptions for 1,285 yards. And then, of course, there's Kendall Hunter, 1,270 yards rushing. Oklahoma State is loaded this year. They are the favorite in this game, but they've had some slip-ups in the past against Texas. We'll see how they fare. Don't forget, 2004, they led the Horns 35-7, and Texas rallied to win that game 56-35. But this is 2010, and Mike Gundy says he likes the press, but he is very wary of what the Longhorns can do.
Well, it's only a factor if you start to listen to it. And I've said this for 4 or 5 weeks now, that if you start to think you're a pretty good player and you start to think that your team's better than you really are, you just need to look around the country every Saturday and you'll see teams get knocked off. And I'm a firm believer in that. We have some good players, some guys that have made a lot of football plays this year, and we have a good football team. But we're not beyond practicing well and keeping the right frame of mind in order to win our football games.
Now, the Longhorns are minus 12 in the turnover margin. They've only forced 11 takeaways all season long. In fact, one of their players, Keyston Randall, said, yeah, we've had like 25 forced turnovers. We just haven't been able to fall onto the football. So Texas will try to change that up. But should be a good matchup out here, Texas and Oklahoma State. I don't expect the Cowboys to run away with this one. I do expect the Longhorns to play well here at home in Austin. They've had some bad showings, the last 2 games being losses to UCLA and Iowa State. And we'll see if they can snap that 3-game schneid as well. Texas and Oklahoma State will have much more coming up after the game. We're live here in Austin. I'm Jeff Power. Let's head back to the studio.
Hey, Jeff, quick question for you. Are they expecting a sellout? Are the Texas fans who are used to much more success than they've seen this year still on board?
Oh, yeah, they're certainly on board. In fact, I was pulling up. I noticed that there was a lot of Oklahoma State fans here, so you might see a little bit of a lighter shade of orange in certain sections. But the Texas fans know this is a huge game, probably the last big game on the home schedule next to, of course, Texas A&M. So Longhorn faithful will be out here, and they'll show their pride and wear their burnt orange. And Mac Brown knows he needs his crowd behind him to get them spearheaded. Nationally televised game. He knows this is a big chance for Texas to get a little bit of redemption against Oklahoma State.
I thought that buzzing I always hear down there was those darn bats, but I guess it is the injury bug. Jeff, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Those bats trip me. This time of year especially, man. Just let us head to Boone Pickens Stadium where Jeff Power has a preview. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, John, what's happening? And, we're looking at those highlights there. OU, of course, has won 7 straight games against Oklahoma State, including a 27-0 victory last year. But this is the bedlam that everyone is talking about up here. Of course, the Oklahoma State Cowboys think they've got a real shot of winning this game. They come in as a 3-point favorite in this game. And you know what else? The Cowboys have not been ranked higher than OU, but only 4 times in the 104-year history of this bedlam series. So some great stuff there. Mike Gundy, the head coach of Oklahoma State, is in his 20th bedlam game. Of course, he was a quarterback for the Cowboys. He was also an assistant coach and now, of course, the head coach. As for Bob Stoops, well, he says, hey, you know what? It's business as usual with the Oklahoma Sooners. He says he knows their team will come in here fired up and ready to win.
And our players, a good number of them were in this game a year ago. And if we weren't, I would have thought we'd have been an underdog then too. But with the way, the seasons were, and our guys know we just got to come out and play like we're capable of, and they're anxious to do that. So in the end, we're a confident group right now. And again, it's exciting to be in this position for 9 of 11 years in a position in the last game to chase a championship. That's not easy to do, obviously.
Hey, the Oklahoma Sooners are seeking their Big 12 7th title. How about that? 7 titles. That's what they're seeking. Of course, they can win the Big 12 South with a victory. As for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, well, they're seeking their first Big 12 South title. They've never been to the Big 12 championship game, not to mention the fact that they haven't won a conference title outright in 62 years. So history on the side of the Oklahoma Sooners, but I got to tell you, here in Stillwater, it's kind of warming up here. The fans are already fired up. There's been a lot of national media attention here, and I think the Cowboys look ready to go. I tell you, Brandon Whedon, he might be 27 years old. He played baseball in the Yankees organization. He was a second-round draft pick for them, but he is very mature. I think he will do what he has to do to try to pull the Cowboys on top. One other note, Justin Blackmon, the wide receiver for the Cowboys, had a hurt ankle against Kansas last week. Well, the story with him, he did not practice Wednesday, but he is expected to play in this game tonight. It's all hands on deck for this one. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, it's going to be great. Let's send it back to you guys for more on this triplet matchup with both teams. I'm Jeff Power, live in Stillwater.
All right, Jeff, thanks very much. We look forward to your reports from Stillwater, Oklahoma all day as we get ready for this Bedlam game. And here
Hey, John, what's going on? Yeah, it's the #1 rushing defense in the Big 12. Texas A&M allowing 112 yards rushing per game against the #1 rushing offense in the Big 12 in Nebraska, led by Roy Halou Jr. He's closing in on 1,000 yards rushing in Nebraska with 282 yards rushing per game. But the story has been Ryan Tannehill lately for Texas A&M. Over 400 yards passing in 4 straight games for the Aggies, all victories. Texas A&M is playing good football, especially on offense. In fact, he has thrown for 1,134 yards and 10 touchdowns with only 3 picks. And here's a key stat for you. Tannehill's only been sacked 3 times compared to 25 sacks on Gerard Johnson, who also had 9 picks when he was at quarterback. So as you can see, Tannehill manages the game well. His receivers, his go-to targets are Jeff Fuller and Ryan Swope. Both have 61 receptions for a combined total of 1,634 yards receiving. So it's that Aggie offense that's been clicking, but they will be tested by the Black Shirts defense of Nebraska.
Don't play a whole lot of zone. They trust their athletic ability and play a lot of man. And so I think it's just going to come down to one-on-one battles across the field. The guys just have to win.
If they want to double coverage me, we have other great receivers, and Kendrick McNeil, Ryan Swope. I mean, they both play the same position. They've been doing a great job. Terrence McCoy and Easy been getting off. So I mean, it's just been a lot of fun. Going through the process, and we're ranked now, and just winning games.
Hey, Cyrus Gray has had over 100 yards rushing in 4 consecutive games for Texas A&M. That hasn't happened since Rodney Thomas was rushing the football for Texas A&M back in 1994. But we talked about the black shirt defense for Nebraska. They have been lights out defensively, especially against the pass, where they're #1 in the entire nation. So that's going to be a key stat for Nebraska. Also, that black shirt defense is only they allowed over 80 yards total against Kansas. That's amazing. Plus, they're 6th nationally in total defense and 1st in pass efficiency and 10th in scoring defense. Nebraska has won 8 straight road games. They're seeking their 9th. They're also seeking their 2nd consecutive Big 12 North title. It's Texas A&M and Nebraska. Should be a great game. The game kicks off tonight at 7 o'clock. Expecting over 90,000 fans here. In fact, I just got word that they're expecting over 30,000 students from Texas A&M. Bo Pelini kind of called out the Aggie faithful and said that the Nebraska faithful was a better fan base than Texas A&M. So we'll kind of see what happens. Should be a great game here in College Station. I'm Jeff Power reporting live. Let's go back to the studio.
Yeah, I love those subplots, Jeff. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to your reports on this one all day long. College football Saturday. And Jeff Power has a preview from Austin.
The Oklahoma State Cowboys will try to exercise some demons against the Texas Longhorns with a 7 o'clock kick here tonight in Austin. In fact, the last time Oklahoma State won at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium was in 1944. Mack Brown is a perfect 12-0 against the Cowboys. In fact, Texas has won 17 of the last 18 meetings with Oklahoma State. But Mack knows he's got to deal with his own problems right now with his team, turnover issues, injury bug, and he's trying to keep his team pretty confident right now.
There's obviously things we can do, but it is a problem that when things are bad, and when things are bad, everybody's bad. Everybody's down. Everybody's after them. And then they have to hear all that stuff during the week. So they got to be strong enough to step up. Coaches have to stay positive with them. And it's really strange that when everybody's down on them and coaches coach them really hard and get down on them, they just go in the hole. So right now as coaches, we have to be more positive than we would be have to be strong, we have to be demanding, but you got to be upbeat with 18 to 20-year-olds that don't have many things positive in their life right now on the field, and that's the only way to get it turned around. That's what we've got to keep doing.
You know, Mac Brown went on to say that this Oklahoma State offense reminds him of his own Texas offense from 2005 when they averaged 50 points per game. Oklahoma State is averaging over 46 points per contest and over 550 yards of offense, 350 of that coming through the air. Justin Blackman, of course, is their leading receiver with 75 receptions for 1,285 yards and 15 touchdowns. Kendall Hunter gets it done on the ground with 1,270 yards rushing and 14 touchdowns. But it all gets started with Brandon Whedon, 18 yards shy of 3,000 passing yards. He's got 26 touchdowns and only 9 picks. So that Oklahoma State offense, we'll see if they can get going against Texas. Horns and Cowboys, we'll have the report coming up for you later on this evening.
All right, guys, let's talk more Bedlam. Jeff Power was in Stillwater amongst the Bedlam and files this report.
The Oklahoma Sooners win it 47-41 over Oklahoma State. That's 8 consecutive victories for the Sooners over the Cowboys. They'll be seeking their 7th Big 12 championship. We caught up with the Sooner players following the game.
I really sensed all week it was fun that I really felt our players were really anxious about it, looking forward to it, to be in this moment. And I know we were as coaches, and just really excited to be here and ready to play this game with the opportunity for the Big 12 championship once again.
With this 47-41 victory, Oklahoma now forces a 3-way tie for first place in the Big 12 South. They will most likely play in the Big 12 championship game because of a higher BCS ranking than both Oklahoma State and Texas A&M. That game, of course, being played in Arlington next week against Nebraska. In Stillwater, Jeff Power. Let's go ahead and send it back to the studio.
Thank you, Jeff.
John Henderson is not only excited about coming to Texas A&M to play football, he will also play baseball for the Aggies. In fact, he plans to start in center field as a freshman. Well, we were expecting an offensive shootout between Arkansas and Texas A&M here at the Southwest Classic in Arlington, and what we got was more of a defensive showdown, especially in the second half. Gerard Johnson was 15 of 40 for 212 yards, and 158 of those yards came to Jeff Fuller, who did catch the 1 touchdown from Gerard Johnson. But Johnson will be the first to tell you, as will Mike Sherman. It was a lack of good opportunity on third down that really cost Texas A&M. In fact, they were just 4 of 17 on third down, and that is just not manageable.
We had some guys jump in and put us into some longer yardage situations. And in the first half, we had some manageable third downs. In the second half, we had some unmanageable third downs. So when you're 3rd and 15, 3rd and 17, 3rd and 12, it's a little bit different than 3rd and 6.
This year we've had so many 2nd and 12s, 3rd and 16s, 3rd and 15s. I mean, it's hard to play good teams that way. When you go in this game, their defensive ends are going to be the strength of their team, their defensive end, their team speed. So there's not much room to be just having the ball up in the air for that long a time.
With our offense, we have answers to all those things. But when you get yourself in a hard situation on third down, I mean, you're very limited, and they know you're going deep. But that's just on our shoulders, and you just got to go up and make the big play.
On the other side of the ball, Ryan Mallett was 27 of 38 for 310 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yes, he probably won this battle head-to-head with Gerard Johnson. He'll take that 24-17 win over Texas A&M. The Aggies will be at home for their first Big 12 conference opener at home against the Missouri Tigers. They'll look to bounce back from this 2-game losing streak. At Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Jeff Power, let's head back to the studio. We're down here at the field at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. Mike Gundy joining us now. 33-16 winners over Texas. That's got to feel good. You're first over the Longhorns.
Well, it was really good for our team. It's all about our players. And the assistant coaches were tremendous, and I'm really happy for the Oklahoma State family. There's a lot of talk about me and my record versus Texas, but it's irrelevant to what these young men have been able to accomplish this season. I never have thought 1 second about that. I'm more for the team, and the team's done a great job.
Tell me about your offense. Over 530 yards of total offense again. It's amazing with the kind of numbers you guys are putting up.
Well, we really played well as a team tonight because the defense got off the field and put the offense back out there. And I thought we had a great game plan in all 3 phases. Our special teams was tremendous. Defense played very well, and then offense moved the ball.
How about the defense overall? one of your better games this year, would you say?
Yeah, no question. And, Texas can be dangerous if you're not careful. They still have guys that can run around and make plays. On defense, they're still very fast. So you have to take all that into account when you're coming up with your game plans.
Mike Gundy, congratulations on your win. Oklahoma State Cowboys win at 33-16. I'm Jeff Power. Let's go ahead and send it back to the studio. As expected, Ryan Tannehill got the start at quarterback for Texas A&M, and he was impressive in his debut with the Aggies at QB. 36 of 50, 449 yards passing, and 4 touchdowns. 2 of those go to Jeff Fuller, who goes over 2,000 yards in receiving for his career. The Aggie offense over 600 yards. We caught up with the players after the game. Again, your final, Texas A&M wins it 45-27 over Texas Tech. A couple of the notes for you. Cyrus Gray, over 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for the Aggies. A bit of bad news, though, for Texas A&M at running back. Kristen Michaels suffers a right leg injury, breaks his right tibia, could be out for the rest of this season. We'll keep you posted. In College Station, Jeff Power. Let's send it back to the studio. Texas Tech sporting new camouflage jerseys out here at Outfitters in Lubbock. Look at that. Texas Tech on the front, Freedom on the back. 100% of the proceeds going towards the Wounded Warrior Project. Highlights of Texas Tech and Missouri from Lubbock. The Texas Tech Red Raiders wearing new camouflage jerseys. 100% of the proceeds of these auction jerseys going towards the Wounded Warrior Project. Freedom on the back. Good looking stuff. Texas Tech and Missouri. Post-game report coming up. The 3-1 Texas Longhorns set to do battle with the 4-0 Oklahoma Sooners for the 105th time at the Red River rivalry. Of course, Texas coming off that humiliating loss to UCLA, the worst loss in the Mack Brown era at home, 34-12. As for the Oklahoma Sooners, well, they might be undefeated, but their fans know they certainly haven't played their best football yet this season. Both teams giving up a lot of yards on the ground this past week. Both coaches know they don't have to do much to fire up their players. After all, the winner of this game usually goes on to represent the Big 12 South in the title game. Some keys to the game we'll be looking for. The Longhorns have to find a way to stop Ryan Broyles, who's already caught 41 passes this year and is averaging 120 yards in receiving per contest. That's tops in the entire nation this season. They'll also have to find a way to stop DeMarco Murray. You might remember in 2007 had 128 yards rushing against the Longhorns in a victory, but in the last 2 games against the Longhorns, he's only rushed for 4 yards on 11 carries. And that Texas defense, which has already produced 14 sacks, are going to have to find a way to get some pressure on Landry Jones at quarterback. As for the other side of the ball, it's pretty simple. The Oklahoma Sooners, if they can continue to stop that Texas passing game, they should be fine. The Longhorns have already had a lot of trouble rushing the ball this year with a rather weakened offensive line. Texas and Oklahoma set to do battle at 2:30. We'll have the complete report for you coming up following the game. I'm Jeff Power in Dallas. Let's send it back to the studio. A lot of the talk here at the Southwest Classic here in Arlington between Arkansas and Texas A&M has been centered around the performance of Gerard Johnson. The quarterback for Texas A&M had 5 turnovers against Oklahoma State, which resulted in 17 points for the Cowboys. Of course, Oklahoma State won that game in Stillwater 38-35. 8 interceptions in the last 6 quarters, though. That's got Aggie fans miffed. Johnson and head coach Mike Sherman know they've got to turn that around. It's been feast and famine this year for Texas A&M quarterback Gerard Johnson. In fact, he's already thrown for 1,274 yards passing, 318 yards per game. That's the best in college football right now. The 12 touchdowns look good. The 8 interceptions do not look good. On the other side of the football, it's Ryan Mallett, the quarterback for Arkansas. He's done a nice job. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate. In fact, the Hogs have only lost 1 game this year, and it was a nail-biter to Alabama, the #1 team in the nation. So we'll see if the Texarkana product Mallett shines today, or will it be Gerard Johnson? Either way, it's a good matchup. Should be a lot of points and maybe a long game. It's going to be a lot of fun here in Arlington. The game kicks off at 2:30. I'm Jeff Power. I'll have a post-game report following the game. Let's head back to the studio.